Curriculum design for best client results. So far within Offer Art, you just finished outlining your framework for the offer that you're focusing on within this go round of Offer Art. And in your framework, you outlined essentially the necessary steps that you feel your client needs to go through to take them from where they're at to their desired result by the end of your program. And that framework was basically an outline of the trainings that you're going to include within your program. So in this training, what we're diving deep into is actually how you're going to set up and structure each individual training that makes up your curriculum, that makes up your framework. So let's dive into how to do that. First of all, why are we focusing on intentional curriculum design? Well, because essentially when you have exceptional curriculum design, clients are going to get better results while needing less of you. And this is going to be how you scale. If it feels like you're constantly needing to repeat yourself in client conversations and you're constantly having to go back and maybe even doing the work for them, that's typically a sign that your curriculum design gets to improve. Because when your curriculum design is really on point, that's when your client should be able to implement the material really efficiently and effectively and pretty independently without needing a ton of your support. And ultimately, the better and better you can nail this, the more your clients are going to get better results with less of you, and that's going to help you scale. Your clients are going to get incredible results going through your one-to-many programs, and that's going to make you feel really happy and fulfilled and on purpose in your work, which is just going to light you up, and it's the point of what we're doing anyway. Incredible results are also going to make it 10 times easier for you to sell. So people I find in the coaching industry sometimes overemphasize the importance of messaging and your content, which is obviously incredibly important. But when your offers speak for themselves, your messaging and content actually becomes a lot easier when your offers are getting your clients incredible results. Because you're going to get convicted as heck in your work and actually believe that you have the sauce that changes people's lives. So it's going to be way easier for you to sell 10 times harder because you believe in what you're selling. Testimonials are going to come pouring in from your clients, and in today's day and age, when you throw that up on sales pages, in your emails, on your Instagram stories, it makes it 10 times easier to sell when potential clients can see the work that's actually happening behind the scenes, and there's proof in the pudding. And it allows you to be able to make really big claims in your messaging. So when you're doing proof of concept, like I help my client go from X to Y, you can actually feel convicted that you're helping your clients get these incredible results, which is only going to make the messaging more potent in the specific results that you're getting your clients. Clients will stay when the curriculum design is amazing because they're getting incredible results. They're going to continue buying, they're going to re-sign, and they're going to go tell their friends, you have to buy this. And truly, that will start happening. They're going to tell their friends when something's changed their life. Like, think about when something's changed your life and you go tell your friend, oh my God, you have to go buy this. People do that, and that's when word of mouth does the selling for you. And it just becomes easier and easier and easier when your one-to-many offers can facilitate incredible client transformations, and that comes from really potent intentional curriculum design. So let's go ahead and dive in. Common mistakes that people make with curriculum and training design is throwing everything you know into a subject into the offer and go. And we talked about this when we were outlining your frameworks, but being information forward, where you just include everything you know about a topic, is not action forward. And information without implementation actually equals client overwhelm and inaction. We want to get our clients into refined, consistent action, because in any transformation, the right, consistent action is what gets clients results. So we want to make sure our curriculums are getting them into the refined, consistent action and set our curriculums up to be very action forward. Throwing in extra stuff just to appear more valuable. I see this a lot where people think that more trainings, more guest coaches, more shit, I'm going to say it, is more valuable. And it's coming from this place of ego of the more I'm throwing at them, the more value I'm giving. And it's just not true. Can a guest coach be valuable if they really are bringing a perspective that you, the coach, can't bring, and you know that it's really going to help them? Sure. But when they're just being brought in for randomness, for the sake of being on a Zoom call, I think it's actually really holding clients back from refining and doing what they need to be doing and refining to actually move the needle forward on their transformation. And clients are going to feel the best and keep buying and re-signing when they're getting incredible results. And that comes from needle moving action, not just sitting on Zoom for the sake of sitting on Zoom. Throwing in extra curriculum that isn't embodied to prove that you are the expert. So I will say this, if you didn't need it for the transformation, they don't need it. So I see this a lot from people, especially newer coaches, where they feel like, okay, I don't feel super solid in what I'm doing. I'm going to go do a bunch of research on what I think should be in here and do some copy pasting, do some Google searching on what needs to be in here. No, if you didn't need it for the transformation, they don't need it. So just include what's embodied, or just putting in extra stuff is, again, creating more overwhelm for the sake of putting in extra stuff. Copying the way that a different coach taught it because it worked for her. That's going to feel like a recipe for lack of conviction in your offer if you're just copy pasting what another coach said and the way she did it because it worked for her. When you can create your offers truly tuning in to it worked for you and it's going to work for your dream client, that's when you get convicted in your unique offers and they sell better. Another common mistake is perfectionism, trying to make it perfect, I'm going to say, which is really just procrastination. Right? I want to make my offer perfect. Okay, you're never going to get it out there. At a certain point, you need to get out there and serve. Get it out there, record the training, and serve. Perfectionism is just a cute, nice way to say you're procrastinating. Needing the trainings to be an hour long because more time equals more value. No, clients are paying to get in and out and get the transformation as efficiently and as effectively as possible. They're hiring you because they want to get the transformation faster. So again, more hours and more curriculum for the sake of more is actually not more value. Clients want you to get there concise and quick. So successful curriculum design is going to get buy-in from the client that makes them want to do the work. So they're self-motivated. They're self-motivated to want to go take the action because they understand the why behind it. We're going to talk about this. Action-oriented curriculum, because refined, consistent action is what actually gets clients results in any transformation. That's what it comes down to. Journal prompts don't get people results unless it's facilitating breakthroughs to then go take action to get the result, right? Teaches clients to move through their own blocks and hiccups to get back into action. So think about in your high proximity spaces, how much of your coaching is not even about here's how to do X, but a lot of let me help you move through this block to go implement this better and faster. Well, if we can bring that to our one-to-many curriculum designs, clients can start to move through their own blocks and mindset hiccups to self-regulate and get back into action faster without needing to have a conversation with you, which again is going to help you scale and help them get better results without being dependent on you. Because the more independent we can make clients, the better their long-term results are going to be. The curriculums are embodied. It comes from you. You're going to be best at teaching the things you're embodied in. And the curriculum facilitates the results as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Because again, clients are paying you to shorten the time it takes for them to get a result. They don't want it to take as long as it took you to figure it out. They're paying you to get the spark notes and make it happen faster. So I actually try to make my curriculums as tight as possible, and delete the fluff. I wish all of my trainings could be condensed into 15 minutes. Sometimes, of course, obviously we have to give it a little bit of time. There's going to be a required amount of time to understand the information and take action, of course. but I try to make it personally as tight as possible because I know that's what's actually more beneficial to my clients, is for them to get in and get out and go move, not to be sitting on trainings and Zoom calls all day. This is really important for us to all get this as a collective. Okay. Use the below questions. This is going to be what we're doing in this training. Use the below questions to help you outline smart training design for your offer. So I'm going to go through all of these questions, but essentially what we're going to do is for each one of your trainings that are making up your framework essentially for your offer, these pieces, these questions are basically going to be answered and included and make up the outline of each of your trainings. And I'll walk you through that in a second. But basically what you're going to be doing in this training here is answering these questions to make up each individual training. So I'm going to go through this now. So you'll have your framework next to you, right? The framework that you outlined. And for each one of these pieces of your framework, you're asking yourself these questions when it comes to each piece, okay? So for each specific training, what action do they need to get X desired result? What do they need to do after this training to go get the result? Because remember, sitting on learning information doesn't get them a result. How do they need to go implement this? How do they need to go implement this to go drive results? Include action steps at the end of every training. I would highly recommend you include the action steps at the end of every training because, again, results come from action. And the way that I suggest that you do this is deliver each training as one action step. So as an example, if a singular training has 5 action steps at the end of it, that would probably best be served up as 5 different bite-sized trainings. As an example, if I had said, go outline your framework and now go outline your curriculum design, no, there's a reason that those are 2 separate trainings because they're 2 separate action steps, okay? Okay, why is being able to implement the action in this training going to get them to X results? So I want you to start to bring into your trainings the why behind what you're having them do in each one of your trainings. Because when you share with your clients how this step is going to take them closer to their desired result, that's when they're going to be bought in. Okay, because first of all, you need to know why you're including this for you as the coach, but adults need to know when they're learning why they're doing something to be bought into actually doing it. Adults most likely will not take action on something just because I told you so. But when you say, here's why you're doing this and why that's going to help you go towards X transformation that they care about, they're going to be bought into actually moving. And when they're self-motivated, intrinsically motivated, they're way more likely to take action than just being dependent on you because you told them to do it. So in your trainings, include why you're having them implement and learn about this material, okay? What education do they need to be bought in to that action and best execute that action? Provide the education that teaches them the why and the how. So that is the only education you're including in your trainings. So something that I want you to audit, and we're going to talk about this here, but do not include unnecessary education just for your ego to prove that you know a lot and have a lot of value to give. So you have to audit yourself. You have to be self-aware and go, where am I going into information that was interesting and neat for me to learn as the expert in this thing, but isn't necessary for my client to know, to be bought into the why and know how to implement this. The only education that you need to include is the why behind it, just enough so that they're bought in to understand why this works so that they want to go take action and to know how to implement the material effectively. That's literally all that you're giving. And that's why I like to start with the action step in all of my trainings and go, okay, what is the thing that they need to do first? That's why I like to start up here. What do they need to do? Because then I can check with myself and go, am I only including the information that's going to make sure that they're implementing that action step well and get them bought in? And outside of that, I cut the rest. I delete it. Okay? Because again, They're just here to go do what they need to do effectively and efficiently to get the result as quickly as possible. Not necessarily to become an expert at the thing and have a degree in it, but to get the result, right? Okay, number 4. Are there examples that's going to help them with their learning and understanding? Include those. So as an example, in Trailblazing Content, when I'm teaching content frameworks that convert, of course I'm giving them an outline of content frameworks that convert, but then I spend a good amount of that training going through and showing real examples in my own content of how I'm using this. And when clients can see it in real examples, it really starts to click. Another example, fitness. Okay, you're teaching them nutritious ideal plate for, balanced macros or whatever that looks like. And then you're giving them all of these different examples of how they're going to make those adjustments, as an example, in a restaurant or for different meals or for different snacks. And it really starts to click for them in real life how to use it. If you're a relationship coach and you're teaching how to be connected to your partner and teaching them how to have connection in conversations. Maybe you're giving examples in conversation dynamics that may come up, or maybe there's some role play there, etc. Okay. What common mistakes do clients often make in the execution of this action, and how can they fix it? So you may notice that I do this in a lot of my trainings, but I often start with common mistakes that people make. In fact, I did it in this training, right? Common mistakes that people make in curriculum design. And I do this intentionally because when you call out mistakes that oftentimes your current clients were making before they hired you, or are currently making before they go and execute on this training, it gets them to listen in a different way. Like, oh, this is for me. I need to make a change. Let me pay attention to this. Because oftentimes if we're giving trainings and we're just like, okay, here's the information, sometimes clients will listen in a way that's like, I'm already doing this. I'm kind of listening. I'm kind of cooking dinner. I'm kind of not. But when you say, these are the common mistakes that are keeping you stuck, and they recognize themselves in those actions, they go, okay, let me listen to this, right? It just gets their learning ears perked up. And then when you address those common mistakes and you say, I'm about to teach you in this training the shifts in education that are going to get you to the desired result that you want, and pay attention, that gets them perked up. And now they're going to go through the training knowing, okay, what I'm about to learn in this is going to take me to X result. And again, you've seen me just say this, but I like to include this at the top of a lot of my trainings. Here's the common mistakes you're making, and here's what's going to fix it. What you're about to learn, XYZ, is going to help you fix it to get Y result. And it just gives buy-in. Okay, so what mindset hiccups, it gives buy-in, and also it also makes sure that they don't continue to do those common mistakes, right? It makes them flag. I'll say that it makes them flag their own mistakes to avoid, right? So now they're wary of like, oh, I remember Coach X told me to flag this and not do this. Let me be wary of that. What mindset hiccups would stop them from taking that action successfully? So you're going through, you're telling your dream clients, here's what you need to know, here's how to do it to implement this effectively, here's the action step that you're going to take at the end of this, here's why all of that's important. But then think about what stops your dream client from taking consistent, refined action. A lot of times it's mindset hiccups. So in the training, can you get them bought into the belief that they can do this and get ahead of those mindset hiccups so that they can actually implement and stay consistent with this action? So I think about what are going to be mindset hiccups that would stop my dream client from taking this action successfully, and then I make sure to include, after I think about what that could be, I make sure to get ahead of that in the training. So as an example, a mindset hiccup that could come up in a content and messaging training of mine is, this won't work for me because I have a small audience. And I say, and I've included in the training a specific content and messaging training. And if you're worried about audience size, my client has an Instagram following of less than 700 followers and just had a 70K launch. That's the power of strong messaging. You can make X amount of dollars even with a small audience. And that activates my dream client who's watching this and has a small audience, because not only did I just reframe it, but I also got her to get bought into the fact that this is possible for her. And when she believes this is possible for me, I know I can do this, she goes and she makes it happen 10 times harder because there's a belief behind it that she can actually do this. So I really want you to ask yourself this question. Like, maybe you're, as an example, a weight loss coach. It's like, what mindset hiccups would stop her? Like, oh, this is just my body. This is just my metabolism. It's like, get ahead of that in trainings and go, that's not true. Like, here's XYZ example of that, and go make your moves. And then it gets her bought into, oh my God, it was possible for her. Okay, it's possible for me too. Gets them into the belief so they take consistent action. Then this is a similar question, but just a slightly different way of approaching it. Are there challenges or blocks that also come up that might not necessarily be mindset, but you just notice when you work with clients that there's a common challenge or a block that seems to trip up a lot of people? Teach them how to move through that block or challenge, and optional, give them a resource. This will be very helpful. Give them a resource that's going to help them navigate and move through that block on their own. So I'll give an example. I know that a lot of times clients are making consistent content and then they'll want guidance like, okay, I'm doing everything I know to do. Like I'm, making XYZ type of posts. Like, I just wish I could get your eyes on, like, where do I see any gaps? So something that I'm thinking about creating, I actually haven't done it yet, but this is something that I'm, again, noticing is a common challenge or block that is on my plan to create, is some kind of guide for, like, how to audit your own content, to see what you're lacking, what you need to do more of, what's missing, what to put gas on to fill any gaps. And like that would be a great resource. Or maybe you're an energetics coach and a common block that people have is more of a mindset block or something that's tripping them up, and you give them like a meditation to move through a subconscious block. So just think about what are the common challenges. Maybe it's like you're a nutrition coach and a common challenge that comes up is, okay, how am I going to navigate and order out at this menu? It's like, give them a system or a framework or a training that teaches them how to move through that block, right? Give them some kind of resource that's going to help them self-navigate that. And that's how clients, again, are going to be able to self-lead and self-navigate without always needing to go, can you look at this? Can you look at this? Can you look at this? Which is ultimately going to help them more independently get better results, which is, of course, what we want. And again, it's going to help you get those incredible results for your clients with less of you, which is the goal for scaling, right? Are there any additional materials that are going to help with learning and implementation of this work? Include those. So are there visuals that are going to help them understand the information? If it's a very visual heavy training, or if it's something like fitness where you're teaching form, of course, that's probably going to require something like videos, like I'll put that in here, like video demos, different worksheets, maybe checklists, guides, on-the-go trainings, meditations. Think about what you're teaching and what's going to help them implement that material more effectively. And then what I will say is you get to find your style. Like, there's no right way to deliver material, but I do generally find the simpler, the better to get clients into action. Sometimes I find that people who really care about things like aesthetics or making things really pretty, it can almost become a distraction. Like, is a beautiful workbook that's in some gorgeous PDF actually helpful, or is that a thing that then becomes hard for your client to fill out and they have to print it? Or, what if they don't have a printer and then they end up not using it? And that's why you'll see me do things like Google Docs, because I know there is no barrier to entry. Is it gorgeous? No, but I know that it becomes so easy to file, make a copy, fill out the document, and gets clients into action. And sometimes I think that all of this like aesthetic, gorgeous stuff can be more of a ego boost, like, look how pretty my PDF is, as opposed to getting clients into results. So just flag that. There's no right or wrong. It doesn't mean you have to use Google Docs, but just self-audit. Where is this coming from? Is this actually helpful for my client to get into action? And then something about PowerPoints, I do find that they're helpful if there is a strong visual requirement for that training. Like I know when I taught Product Suite, obviously within Offer Art, to me that felt like a very visual training. So it felt best to make a PowerPoint to teach that. But in a lot of other trainings, as you've witnessed, I just use Google Docs because I haven't felt that a PowerPoint necessarily improves the learning. So flag that for yourself. And with PowerPoints too, I generally find that less text is better for learning. Words and phrases that anchor in the lesson, but you don't need to have paragraphs on the screen. And then again, I don't find it necessary unless there's a strong visual component. Okay. So your action step is going to be to go to your curriculum workbook, which is going to be outside of this training, and it looks like this, okay? So you have your framework, and what you're basically going to do is for each part of your framework, we're now going to flesh out the trainings that make up each part of your framework. So you're going to go through and put whatever the title was for each section. So as an example, if I were doing this for Trailblazing content, it's like, the training number 1 would be like messaging to attract your dream client. Training number 2 would be, hooks that stop the scroll, right? Like each section is its own training, and you're basically going through these questions. And for each training, you're just answering these questions. So what action do they need to take to get the desired result? I typically like to start with that. I have it out of order here on purpose because generally I find that this order becomes a really good way to actually deliver the training, which I'll talk about in a second. But you'll decide the action step. Okay, the action step is go do this, and you'll have it for that section. Then you'll ask yourself the next question. Why is being able to implement this action step important for X desired result? You'll answer that here. What education do they actually need to best execute this? What's the why and the how? You'll, boom, put that here and answer it here. Are there examples that you're going to give that's going to help them with their understanding? Okay, outline that here. So what you're doing is by answering these questions for each one of these trainings, you're essentially outlining every training that's going into your entire offer. You're outlining all of the trainings that make up the framework that make up your offer here. So this is not something that you have to complete in one sitting because this is quite a robust action step, especially if you're creating a more robust program. So take your time here, and it may even be helpful if you're really outlining something that has, like it's a 6-month program and it has a lot of different pieces to the puzzle. You may even want to make a document per section, like per big chunk of your framework. As an example, for me, the Trailblazers, it's like content, offers, launching, sales could each have its own for everything that goes underneath it. If that's easier for you, you're going to be able to go back and audit and edit this work. So do not let perfectionism be your excuse to procrastinate on this. But what's really neat about this is going to become the loose script for all of your trainings. So of course, you're going to, after this, have to go and decide how you want to deliver this material in a more fleshed out way, whether that's in a Google document or a PowerPoint or however you're doing it. But you'll have this here when you answer all of these questions for each training. This really very quickly becomes the meat and potatoes. It becomes the skeleton for each one of your trainings. So after this, you'll have this in a document and you'll be able then to go, okay, great, I'm going to go turn this into a PowerPoint presentation or turn this into a document or however I want to deliver this. And now I'm going to go make the training and publish it. And it will all be here in a really fleshed out, organized way. So this, again, is quite a robust action step. It's essentially outlining your whole offer and all the trainings that make up your program. But this is really exciting. Have fun with this. You can only get this right. You cannot get this wrong. Remember, you are the offer artist. Tune into you. When you answer these questions, you are going to have curriculum design for each one of your trainings that gets your clients into action, that gets them bought in because they understand the why behind why they're doing this work, gets them listening because you're calling them out on common mistakes. So they're tuned in, their ears are perked up, and they know what mistakes to avoid. big. They get that your training is going to be exactly what teaches them to fix their actions to get to X result. They know that it's guiding them to their next step, so they're bought in. You're giving them the necessary action that's giving them the why and the how to implement the material effectively. So they're doing the action in a refined way, the right way, the best, most efficient, effective way to get the result. You're giving them examples that are deepening their learning. You're overcoming any mindset hiccups and reframing it so that they believe that they can get the result that is going to move them forward. And if they believe that they can achieve it, if they believe that it's possible for them, they're 10 times more likely to continue to follow through, keep taking action. And if they keep taking the refined action, they're going to get the result eventually. And then you teach them also how to overcome any blocks or challenges. I'm going to add that here. Blocks and challenges that could get in their way, and how to move through that. So they're going to become independent clients who can get really incredible results without always needing to tune into you. And you're going to give them any necessary additional materials that are going to help them implement this on their own. When you have this in each one of your trainings, this is going to be really effective curriculum design to get them into action, taking the right action, taking consistent action without falling off, knowing how to be independent go-getters, independent clients who make the results happen for themselves. And this is going to be how your clients get incredible results from your program. So I'm so excited for you. One more thing I want to show you. This is just a very technical thing, but if you want to add more of these, all you're going to do is down here, go to insert table, and then just add one of these, and you can copy paste this and put it here, so you can have as many of these as you want, or as little as you want. I didn't want to make it 1,000,000 miles long in case you didn't want that for yours, but you can just really easily add that. And I am so excited for you. Go do this. Share your curriculum design workbook when you have this filled out in the Facebook group. And I just cannot wait to see what you create. I'm so excited. And go do the thing. It's going to take maybe a couple times sitting down to do it. You've got this. Have the time of your life, and I'll see you in the next one.